The Ballad of Sarah Granny McClure, Midwife of the Mountain. The Appalachian Mountains are stitched together with stories, quiet ones that never make it into the history books, whispered ones that survive in kitchens, front porches, and revival tents. One such story belongs to Sarah Granny McClure, a woman whose name rarely left her county line, yet whose hands carried generations into life, and whose faith stitched the wounded hearts of her people. Born of a hard soil. Sarah was born in the late 1800s, deep in a holler in eastern Kentucky. Her family was poor, dirt floor poor, but proud. Mountain proud. Her father worked the timber camps. Her mother kept the cabin and nursed neighbors when they fell ill. Sarah grew up watching her mama store remedies out of bark, root, and prayer. By the time she was 12, she was learning which herbs soothed fever and which teas eased childbirth pains. Education was scarce. Sarah never saw the inside of a proper schoolhouse. But her mountains taught her. They taught her patience in the turning of seasons, endurance in the rugged climb of the ridges, and wisdom in the way nature provided healing for those willing to look close enough. The midwife of the holler. By 16, she delivered her first baby. When the regular midwife couldn't make it through the flooded creek to a neighbor's cabin, she laid her trembling hands on that young mother and whispered every prayer she knew. Hours later, when a healthy baby's cry broke through the storm, Sarah realized that God had carved her calling into her very bones. For the next 60 years, Sarah McClure became the midwife of the mountain. By mule, by foot, through snowstorms and floods, she went when the people called. She carried no medical bag, just a Bible, a pouch of herbs, and a faith that God Himself guided her hands. They said she delivered more than 3,000 babies in her lifetime. But her legacy wasn't just the births. It was the comfort she gave, the hand she held when a child was stillborn, the prayers she spoke over dying mothers, and the casserole she baked for grieving families, even when her own cupboards were bare. The keeper of faith. Sarah was more than a midwife. She was a keeper of faith in a time when churches were little more than brush arbors and preachers came only once a month. She led prayer circles, read the Bible aloud to those who couldn't read, and taught children hymns that echoed across the hollers. It is said that one winter, when influenza swept the valley and claimed dozens, Sarah walked house to house caring for the sick. She caught the fever herself, nearly died, but recovered. When asked why she risked her life, she simply said, "The Lord didn't put me here to hide from trouble. He put me here to walk with my people through it." Her legacy. When she passed in 1957, at the age of 91, the whole county gathered. Hundreds of men and women stood shoulder to shoulder on the hillside cemetery. Many were grown men she had once delivered as infants. Some said it was the largest gathering their mountains had ever seen. But perhaps her truest legacy lived in the generations that she touched. Babies she delivered became preachers, teachers, coal miners, mothers, and soldiers. They carried her spirit into the world. Even now, in quiet mountain homes, you might hear a grandmother tell her grandchild, "Granny McClure brought me into this world. She prayed me here." Why does she matter? Sarah Granny McClure was never written into history books. No statues bear her name, but her story lives in the oral gospel of Appalachia. The belief that ordinary lives, lived with extraordinary faith, shape the backbone of a people. Her legacy reminds us that the heroes of these mountains are not always gunfighters or generals, but women with roughened hands, cracked Bibles, and hearts big enough to hold a whole community. This is the kind of unsung hero whose story can carry spiritual and emotional weight into the Appalachians. And I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day, guys.